My name's Luke Serveld. Welcome to another episode of Meet the Gaffer. Today, we've got another My Story for you, but this time the story belongs to Pablo Bernst. And we're going to bring him on and we're going to have an interview. Instead of him just talking directly to camera, we're going to have a conversation about his career.
Hola, Luke.
Voila. And we have a little bit of a time difference here. It's really early in the morning for me, and it's really late in the evening for you. So thank you for making the time to come on and, kind of fill us in about your life. So maybe let's start at the beginning. And if you could tell us how you got into the business.
First of all, thank you for having me, Luke, and for always answering my questions in Instagram or wherever on YouTube channel. It's as I was talking to you before, is my timeline is kind of simple. I'm 37, and I started working 18, 19 years ago. My first job was as a production runner, like a production, not even a production assistant, because my father was now he's retired, but he was a production manager. And while working as a PA, I started to see these guys I really like. I started to take a look at the electricians, and I feel really I don't know, curious about their work. And then I think it was 2004, I got into the film school, the public film school in Argentina. And instead of, you can choose between script or direction or production, so I went for photography, not knowing that much. I was 18, just fresh out of school. I did my 3 years career, and after that I started working as an electrician for maybe 6 or 7 years. And I was very lucky because I had this big wreck. I was working with this Gaffer and this crew, and I was the youngest and the last electrician in the crew. I was learning a lot. And back then, maybe 2005, 2006, there were a lot of production services in Argentina, like many people from foreign countries coming to Argentina to shoot. And my boss, which was, now he's retired as well, which was a very good gaffer, didn't speak English. So he needed a translator, and I was the only guy on the crew to speak a little bit of English. So I started working side by side with him for many years, and I had this opportunity to work side by side with him, with the Gaffer, and with a lot of DPs from my country and other countries. And after many years working as an electrician, I switched to camera department because I wanted to learn more. First, I was a video assist. The video assist in Argentina is part of the camera crew. Then I become a second camera assistant. And then, as I told you before, I hate pulling focus, and I'm very bad at it. I admire the focus and the first camera assistant. I admire those guys because I don't know how they do it. I was like, every time I had to pull focus, I was like sweating and really nervous. But instead, I became I started studying, digital cameras and stuff, and I became a DIT. And I don't know how is it in the US or in other countries or whatever, but in Argentina, if you're a DIT, you work side by side with the DP on set. You're not on the track, only downloading cards, but you're on set monitoring and stuff. So I keep on learning a lot, and maybe 5 years ago, I decided that I wanted to become a DP, and I started doing small music videos and then small TV commercials and stuff, and wow, you know, it keeps coming and coming. Mm-hmm.
Here you are, yeah. Well, let's go back to Argentina, to those early days when you were learning to be an electrician, working as a translator. Take us back to being on set there. What kind of units would you see around you? What was the power hookup? Was it always a generator? Did you sometimes tie into the buildings? What was that like?
It was different depending on the project, of course. Um, there are not many rental houses in Argentina, maybe four top, and back then there was only one big rental house, and it was mostly big units like 18Ks and HMI 18Ks and tungsten 20Ks. And I also worked in a production house that they own their own equipment, and they have, maybe you recall them, those huge, really heavy 20K and 10K Mole Richardson.
Well, Richardson, yeah, the big
Yeah.
mole
So,
Fresnels.
yeah. But because in Argentina mostly all the gear is Arri, but this production house, I don't know why they have more Richardson, like really huge 10Ks and 20Ks, and even like
Yeah.
they have all the series, from the 20K to the that small 150 beautiful 150 watt. Um, so yeah,
Uh,
and
and, and power wise, is it 220 down in Argentina?
it's 220.
And so would you have sort of like Euro style power, or was it
Yes.
your own type?
Uh, I mean, it's an adaptation from many places. I don't know how they call it, but we had those power boards when you. Um, I don't know how to say it, but we have really huge generator with three phases. You know,
Yeah,
so there were like four really huge wires for
yeah, yeah,
big
yeah.
money to get to this power boards and to distribute all the power around the set.
Going one step back, how does your dad fit into your film story?
He was a production manager in the 90s, and when I finished high school, I started to go to do the set with him. And after working maybe 1 gig or 2 gigs, like TV commercial with him, he fired me. Uh, because I made something like a horrible mistake, and instead of saying I'm sorry, boss, I answered the way you would answer your father instead of your boss. And he looked at me and told me, like, if you something like this, if you were in a real job, you cannot answer me like that. So from now on, you cannot work with me anymore. And he called another friend, another production manager. So a few days later, I was working in another production house with another guy, and that was my first year as a it wasn't even a production assistant. It was like I was carrying stuff from one point to the other.
Yeah, you're the gopher. Uh,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
so having production in the family was sort of a plus minus. But you had to sort of gain your trust and all that on your own.
yeah,
Even though I guess you got that first little break of being put into another production house, but yeah,
yeah.
no, that sounds good. And you certainly put in a lot of time on set where you weren't in charge. So
Hmm.
you're used to being told what to do. And
Yes.
maybe we jump ahead now to working as a DP. Does that history does
Hmm.
that help you as a leader?
Well, it's a very nice question. It helped me, but sometimes I'm going to ask my wife how should I say this? ¿Cómo es como que algo vuelve en contra? It turns against you. Yeah, it turns against me, sometimes because when I ask for something, I know what what that means. For example, with the electricians, I love my crew, and I know when we are like working and it's our um, 16 or 18, we work a lot of hours in Argentina, maybe it's sometimes 16, 18, 20, and in the hour number 20, if you are asking the guys to take 5 maxi brutes to the other building, it's going to look good, but you know what it takes. Everyone is tired. That they will have to move the generator from one point to the other to feed those maxi birds and on top of that. So little by little, I'm learning to ask what I want without being so guilty about it. If you know what I mean.
Yes, yes, yeah. No, and I really appreciate people. Like, there's two sides of that. I guess if you know what it takes or you know how to do it, then sometimes people are like, well, I want this, this, this. Like, it's like, I know how to do this. I've done it 100 times, so it should be easy for you. And come on, let's do it. And they make it sound like it's easier than it is. And the other side of it is, like you say, you think like, wow, I wouldn't want to be doing that. I know what that takes. I wouldn't want to do that at this time. So maybe let's figure out an easier way. And
We do, and to be honest, we do that a lot with my gaffer. We do that a lot, and sometimes I work with everyone who wants to work with me, but mostly I work with 3 gaffers that I really like. I mean, to be honest, they are like family for me, like team, like crew is my family. So sometimes I go and says like, okay, this shot is going to, it's going to be 2 seconds in the commercial. So I don't care if it's not that perfect. We can do it quickly and go home. But sometimes, and I go and talk to the guys and say, I'm really sorry. I know this is going like the extra mile, but we need to put that unit on top of the building because it's important for me, and it's going to change everything. And well, you're a gaffer, you know the difference.
but I think that's huge. Sometimes you just want the person in charge to say, look, I know this is crazy, but I'd really like to do this, and I think we can make it happen. Blah blah blah, and so where you have some empathy. It's when there's no empathy, and it's just like
Yeah.
like come on, do it. Then that's a little harder to take. Yeah.
Yes, but sometimes when I'm in that position, I remember when I was an electrician, and I remember how we hate the DOPs without empathy. It's like, come on, man, it's the same. Why are you doing this? We are all tired. Nothing is going to change. So I tried not to do it.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's great. Yeah, and that's what experience does. It hopefully shapes you to learn from the mistakes of others or of yourself from the past. Yeah, yeah,
And something I do, which is I really trust my gaffer. I do. Um, I don't care anymore how, because I trust them, of course. I don't care how they do it, as long as we have the result we want. For me, it's perfect.
a long time working together.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And would you say you mostly work on longer form projects rather than short form commercials and stuff, or is it more feature?
No. I do a lot of. I mean, when I was an electrician and then I was in camera crew, I work in a lot of features. But then when I started doing photography, I switched to do like music videos and.
Al cuerpo que no lo veas no significa que no lo seas. Sana es la espera, no te apresures ni te demores.
Small commercials and sometimes bigger commercials.
¡Ay, mamá!
Ay, mamá. Qué guapo estás. Dame un abrazo.
Es broma, ¿verdad?
But I'd like to make features in the future. But last year, I made this 6 episodes TV show in Chile, which was amazing because for me it was something I really wanted for a very long time, and it was really challenging.
A mí se me hace muy raro todo eso. Mejor es que se queden.
¿Quién anda ahí?
¿Qué fue ese ruido de anoche?
Llegaron.
¿Los viste?
No son como nosotros.
Todos nos vamos a morir, no importa lo que hagamos.
Acá nada malo te va a pasar. Este lugar es un refugio.
Todavía tenemos una familia que cuidar.
Nadie sale.
It looks good.
And now, was that the show that was shot in anamorphic?
Yes, anamorphic.
So tell me a little bit about that, your sort of learning process, working with different format, that kind of thing.
Many years ago, I was working as a DIT in a few TV shows like this kind of Netflix and HBO, but as a DIT. And in one of those shows, I met this director I really admire, and he's the one that called me to make this TV show last year. So for me, it was amazing because I worked with him, like looking from the side as a DIT, and a few years later, I was working with him as a DOP, and I really admire. His name is also Pablo. The only thing he said, like camera wise, before we started was like, we want to shoot anamorphic. I want to shoot anamorphic, and that's it. But the thing is, nor HBO nor Netflix or Stars or whatever would let you finish in full anamorphic aspect. The maximum you can get is 2:1. So you have to crop the sides of, and that's kind of shitty because you lose all the sweet spot of the anamorphic, which is the edges. All the. Besides that, you have to shoot large format. So we choose to Alexa Mini LF. But the thing is, the only lenses you could find last year in South America were Super 35. So it was really hard for us to shoot anamorphic. We shoot with a set of these, I think they're Japanese or Russian, those Kowa, and also the old Hoxie, which are really heavy, and it's terrible for Steadicam and stuff. It's torture. We wanted to get the Hawk B lights, but it's impossible. You have to bring the B light from Mexico or from Colombia, from LA. So it was very expensive for the production. It was almost in the middle of COVID, so it wasn't easy to bring a lens case from one country to the other. So we shoot Kowa and Hoxie, and I think Hoxie are 2.2 light wise, but if you want to have definition, you have to use it at 2.8 and a half, and there was this sci-fi TV show, and mostly was exterior night, so it was really hard for me, like 2.8 and a half, and night really huge framing, like watching forests everywhere, and we didn't have really big units, so and then the gaffer was amazing, and he did a really great job, because we only have a 12K HMI, which we use in a condor crane, like a cherry picker, 25 meters condor crane, and we also had like 2 M40s, which we use in another smaller scissor lift crane, bounced into a 12x12 or 20x20 frame, so with ultra. It's pretty decent anyway, but it was like I was sweating every night to see if I had enough light, to get things going.
And you did 6 episodes.
Yes, I did the 6th one.
How many days would you spend on each episode?
I can do the math. It was 64, 10 days per episode, more or less.
Yeah, so you're clipping along.
Yes.
If you can recall, what were some of the lessons you gained from the gaffer in Argentina? Like just being around someone like that, what were some of the things that you would see over and over that made an impression on you, or informed the way you would be later on in your career?
Mostly, it seems that doesn't have much sense, but it's being there. I really admired those gaffers that never, leave the set. It's a really important part of it. Really focus on what's happening. More is much. I don't know how to say it, much more important than the craft that they had it. Of course, they have it. It's still, but to be all the time concentrated and being open to what the DP wants. And I met this gaffer that they didn't have this academic knowledge like maybe I have, because I went to film school, but somehow they knew everything. They knew where to put a light without not knowing all the theory behind that. They just knew, and sometimes they knew when the DP was making a mistake, and he was like, okay, I want a 4K back there or whatever, and the gaffer will turn around and say like, bring the 12K because the 4K is not. and bring two diffusions and whatever. And after even before that the DP says anything, they will have like the unit switch on and pan the other way, and it 250 on standby, and 3 meters beneath that like open frost, and the DP will go like, I want it softer, and they will be like, yeah, we know that.
And it sounds like they'd have that knowledge, but they knew who was in charge. So they had it ready and they could just bring it in, but it was always in service to the DP.
Of course. And always so respectful. Always. Even when they knew they were making something that didn't make any sense, they will do it anyway, but they will have the other thing on standby because
Yeah. No, that's good. I mean, there's a lot of stories, sort of behind the scenes stories of that kind of thing, and often you hear this story too of new directors being given a very experienced DP, and I imagine the same would be less experienced DP. It's handy to have an experienced gaffer.
But I'm not afraid of saying it. A lot of times, the gaffer has much more experience than I do, and sometimes because I trust them, because the guys who I work with are my friends, I can say it. It's like, okay, I watch this, I like it, I like to do something similar. I like to and to be honest, I don't know how to do it. Would you help me to do this? And they will go like, yeah, of course, yeah. Sometimes when we are doing tech scouting, and I'm like doing like this with my hands, playing smart, and the gaffer will come and really quietly would say to me like, remember that if we have only one frame on the track, so we cannot do that at the same time. I was like, you're right. You're right. It happens all the time.
Yeah, sometimes you get carried away with your creativity, and then you get brought back down to earth.
Yeah.
You haven't been a DP that long, but is there something that draws your interest or that is on your reel, and therefore you are called for a type of production?
Well, since I started doing photography in music videos, I got used to be really quick. So I think when they call me to do TV commercials, sometimes I feel like they are calling me because, of course, they like what I do. I hope, but also because I'm quick. I really get along with the crew, and I don't know how to say it, but we go forward. We never stop, and I don't know, we're never scared. We have to do something big, we do it, and that's it.
So maybe they call you when they have a lot to shoot and not a lot of time to shoot it in.
Yes. I'm a very good. Sometimes I feel like I'm a friend of the producers, and I don't know if that's something good or not.
No, that's great. I think that's a really good trait because over the years, when you work with someone that knows what they want, still flexible, but knows what they want, it's really nice to just like keep going. It's the slow time when you're waiting around that is often kind of a drag when you're working. It's nice to sort of keep going and then you're done.
Yeah. And I know something which is I don't regret. I'm not ashamed of it, which is I have a lot of colleagues that they're like really. I don't know how to say it. I will do it with my hands. They are like perfect. They have to like something and they take a lot of time, but it looks like amazing, and I really admire them. But I'm not that kind of DP. Maybe I'm rougher. It's true. Sometimes they have told me that when I shoot, it looks in TV commercials and music videos that it looks like a movie. I don't know what I do. It has like that kind of texture and stuff.
Maybe you don't overlight, you know,
No.
whereas sometimes if things get a little overlit, then it looks more commercial-like rather than filmic.
Yeah, but I what you say is just perfect. I had a few problems in not many commercials, but a couple of commercials that the client or the agency felt it a little bit underlit for the. Those were my not many, maybe 2 or 3, and it was like I remember this director calling me, and after the shooting, after the editing and the presentation, and she said like, Pablo, it looks really good. I love it, but the agency and the client thinks we are really dark on that. You know, it's like, I'm sorry.
Often that's just about fill, you know, and you know, because movie lighting, in a sense, is a little more dramatic. I mean, unless it's high key comedy, but often, you know, and so you live in that world and you're comfortable in that world, and it looks great on a big screen. But then often on an iPhone, you know, when you're looking at something or a corporate land, it's so much more brighter, and people are afraid to be on the dark side.
Yes, you're completely right, and by making those mistakes, I learned a little bit. And now, for example, when we work on studio, like every time we have like this top with maybe 12 by 12 with 6 sky panels, so we know that even if we light on the side, or if we have like a harsh sunlight, we still have enough feel for everything to have some you know, exposition and stuff. And if someone, which, because we have to be honest, sometimes when we're doing a TV commercial, we are working for a client, an agency, or we're selling a glass of water or whatever. So if they come and say like, we think it's a little bit dark, okay, we go up on the film, and we're good with that. We go home, and I stopped fighting for the low key. Maybe on my first commercial, I was like, but this looked so dramatic and so good. And I was like, no, it's good. They want more light. Okay, like, no, go up with the fill and more diffusion, and everything looks beautiful. No contrast.
Yeah, well, that's experience, right? You, in a sense, you get beaten down, but on the other hand, it's reality, and so you try to balance those things. Now, okay, I'm going to take a sort of a detour off, and I wanted to ask you. At some point, we spoke about software that would be helpful in keeping track of a lot of gear. And I'm wondering if you can speak to the Lumolist situation.
Yeah, it was Lumolist for me was perfect, especially in Mexico, because as I told you, I live in Argentina, and in Argentina, I know the rental houses and I know all the gear available. And Mexico is huge. It's similar to the US, and especially with all the new units, you know, all the new apertures and whatsoever. With Lumolist, it was really easy for me, because I could browse all the pages and go like, okay, I need this. Oh, okay, I cannot forget this, because otherwise I would, you know, sometimes I forget. That's it. It's a lot to keep track, and it's you know, it's very easy to make a mistake and say like, oh, I forgot this, and it's so important, or whatever. I forgot this accessory. Or if you, for example, you have 10 sky panels S60 or wherever, but you forget the chimeras, or you forget the grids, or you forget the grid cloth. It's sometimes it's no use. If you have one unit with that with a few gaffers, always talk that it's really important to have units, but it's so much more important to have all the accessories for those units, because if you cannot control light, there's nothing to it. If you want to go a little bit low key and you don't want the light to spread all over one set, and the set is small, for example, you have a kitchen or something like that, of course you need the grids. If you don't have the grids, you are in a problem. You have to start put flags or whatever. So with this app, with this software, you recommend me Lumolist. It was so easy to keep track on everything, on each unit and each little accessory that came with the unit.
Cool. Oh, that's great to hear. Yeah, and especially I would imagine on larger productions when there's a lot of different things. But I love the idea that, hey, you're in a different country and where you don't know the rental houses as intimately. It's really nice to be able to have sort of a helper with your lists of stuff, because you have to list out every little thing.
Yeah, of course. At least you have a guide. You have a PDF or you have a print paper, and it's like, this is what I need. Okay, do you have this? Or if you don't have it, which options do I have? For example, in Argentina, I don't know how maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe in the US and in some places in Mexico, you have the truck already with a lot of things on it, like the 2 tons truck or whatever, and you have flags and you have frames and you have a small tungsten and you have 110K. In Argentina, there's nothing like that. You have to make a list item by item, like everything you need. So if you have an app like that, at least you do a list and you won't forget anything.
That's great. Yes. Yeah, and I think that is different even in the States between cities. And I've talked about this too on an episode once, that sort of the difference between sort of an owner-operator truck and a truck from a larger rental house where you have to put all the items on. The U.S. tends to be, you get a truck with a grip package, and so there's a standard package on that truck. I have a friend in the UK who's trying to bring that idea to smaller production. Here's a van, and the van comes with this package, and if you want extra stuff, you add to it. But so sometimes that's a different idea to bring to a country, but it's handy.
I love that. In Mexico, it works like that, and I love it. I know, for example, that I have a dolly, at least like a regular dolly in each truck. If I need something bigger, like a peewee or a
Fisher,
or Fisher or whatever, I have to ask for it. But I know that if I forget about the dolly, at least I have two tracks or 3 tracks, and like classic doorway dolly. And I know this Gaffer in Mexico, which has like something that he calls mini mobile, which is like small van, and he has a small van with a few frames, a few flags, like a Matthews kit. That's, I think it's called survival kit or something like that.
Road rags.
Yeah.
And
everything. I got a 12x12, maybe 120x20 and stuff. So that at least with that van you have precisely what you need for a small project.
I've got 2 more topics. Can you talk a little bit about the change you've seen from those large airy and mole units when you were coming up, and where things are now, and the kind of units that you end up seeing? How has that transition been for you?
Life. And I'm so happy now that you can. I'm happy for me as a DP, and I'm happy for the electrician to have sky panels and everything. Everything has changed so fast and so good. I remember one gig when I was an electrician. It was my first or my second big commercial on the studio, and they were shooting high speed. So we have to change every day. We have to climb up and change all the burn gels and stuff. And remember, look, when you shoot photosonic or wavecam or whatever, that you can use units smaller than at 5K, because otherwise you will have
The filament, yeah.
yeah. So we have to climb up with those 10Ks and 20Ks or whatever. And if the EP wanted to be red, you have to go with a huge all the rolls and cut them. And if you spot the lights, they will burn quicker and whatever. And now you have the sky panels with high speed, whatever, and all the gels inside, and very different ways to approach color. And for me, that's amazing. I wish that in the future every crew has like a console and operator, like a something that has to go with the crew every time.
So as a DP, you've come to enjoy the easy changeability of LED units.
Yes. And in this show that we shot in Chile, we had a lot of ¿cómo se dice? Apagón, shutdowns, light shutdowns, because it was like aliens outside, and it was amazing because we had the top light. We have a 12 by 8 or something like that on a living room or on a kitchen with 4 sky panels, whatever, and maybe 2 or 3 units on the floor, and everything was connected.
Was networked.
It was networked to I never remember the name of the software. Luminar. Was everything connected to Luminar or Blackout or wherever, and we could change. We had the shutdown, and then the shutdown was one guy doing like this with an iPad. And for me, that's really amazing. That's the future.
Yep. No, that's great. It's cool. So you're incorporating that, and you're seeing that in Mexico as well.
Yep. Sometimes we, in a good way, we fight the production, and we tell them that if we have this, if we have everything networked, it's going to be cheaper for you, quicker and easier. It's not something that I want to do because I want to show off and change from one color to the other and say look at this. It's actually quicker.
It seems like it's growing exponentially, the adoption of wireless and just having that control is really nice. My last question is, what are your sort of hopes and dreams for the future, for the type of work you get, the equipment you're hoping people will create for you? What do you see in the future? What's your hopes and dreams for what's coming up?
I think camera had this really fast and good evolution within the years, and it didn't happen with lights for many years. And I really like my friends, my electrician friends, so I want this, all those light systems to keep improving and improving to make work easier and much more creative. Because if I can see it with, I will give you another quick example. And the last chapter of this TV show, we had to do this, ¿cómo se dice? Aurora boreal, like northern lights. In the middle of the mountains whatever. So the guys rigged something like a 30 by 30 frame, on a condor crane, and they put 20 sky panels or whatever, and they networked it to, this time was Blackout. We sat with the operator and we did something really beautiful and amazing, which was choose colors. And so and we put the camera while we were like setting everything, and so okay, I like this green, I like that, and this guy, which was, and my gaffer in Chile, which is very talented and stuff, making these beautiful suggestions, and said why don't we try a few, flickering on red beside all the green and the blues and wherever, and after that it was perfect. There was no one climbing up a ladder and changing filters or whatever.
Right.
So if we keep improving in that kind of technologies, I think we give us much more creative possibilities. I made this really nice commercial it was in a train car, but it was only a train car inside of a huge studio. We cannot move it, so we had to rig a lot of light around the train car to make this sensation that of the train moving. It took 1 day and a half of pre-light. The main character was this famous pop singer in Argentina, and it was the typical commercial of people going to work, and at some point they open a can of this wine, and everyone started to dance with her, and it was like a show, and so we had a lot of different stages of light. We had the normal light with the train moving, then we had the emergency light because the train stopped, and then we had this dancing disco light inside of the train, and then we switch back to normal.
Disciplina.
Now we'll send you some BTS pictures, because of course we networked everything into a console, but not only sky panels, but also this follow spots and like music Joe lights, and there was a lot of things going around, and a handheld camera inside the train, and a techno crane inside the train car, and a steady cam on the other side. It was fun.
Yeah, so you had a lot going on, and a lot for you to orchestrate, to manage.
Yeah, and of course thinking a lot of things at the same time. In that particular job, the gaffer did something amazing. I don't know how he did it in 12 hours. I don't know. I have no idea. I told him just okay, I'm going to operate the crane and stuff, and I need you to make this happen, and he did. Really, instead of look, I don't want to lie to you, because we're having this beautiful conversation. I wasn't saying anything technical, only concept. Okay, it's I want this to be cool, a little bit cooler, because it's the typical train car situation, and then we put some red light or something like that, and then the dancing part begins and stuff. The gaffer was with I think Agustin is 44 years old, and he was working for the first time or the second time with his son, which is 16. This kid, because I'm 37 and he's a kid, he's amazing at operating Asteras, the Astera tubes, and at some point we were so overwhelmed by the technocrane, the Steadicam, the shouting AD, the director, that we look at this kid, this kid knows everything about pop music and new music and rap and hip hop and trap, and I look at him, at this kid, and say okay, do what you think it could look good in this kind of situation, and he started to do magic. I don't know, magic. And he was like, okay, I can, and I was like operating the wheels of the techno crane, and this kid came and said like, I can try some strobos and I can try some red with, and I was like, oh, of course, yeah, go ahead, and it looks really nice.
Well, I think that speaks a little bit to this idea of diversity in our world, in production, and being open to new ideas, younger ideas,
Yeah.
people, coming in and out of our purview. And I think there's maybe a nice segue there to, have you ever worked with your wife?
Yes, I did.
You had difficulty working with your father early on, but how is it working with your wife?
With my wife, I'm obviously in love with her, but I think she's the best AD I ever worked with. I love working with her. She's very precise. The only thing is she won't let me play smart on set, because sometimes with other assistants, when I need to buy time because of everything, because I made a mistake or because I want to do something to look better, I don't know how to say it. Like, I with other ADs, I throw a stone to the other side of the field, and when they look to the other side, I was like trying to play smart and make my thing. And she always catches me doing that, and and I feel really ashamed after that. And she goes like, I know what you're doing. You need more time. You need 15 more minutes. You can have it, but don't do that again. And I was like, doing what? I wasn't doing anything. yeah, okay. Many years ago, one really good advice I heard from a director of photography I really like, and he's my friend. He's older than me. He's 55 or something like that. Rodrigo. I love that guy. He taught me a lot. He told me once, as a photographer, you have to be your own AD. You have to know inside of you, within your mind, how much time you have to do, a specific setup. And if you take more time on that setup, you have to know that you're losing time on another setup. So you have to pick your battles. So sometimes I like to play my own assistant on set, but when I work with my wife, she noticed, and she's very nice, but she tells me like, no, you cannot do that anymore. She tells me like you're good at it, but I'm in charge, so let me do the thing. Don't call people. They said I do that. I was like, okay, I love you, and I sit on the dolly and do something like.
Now, because you're both in the business, does that help your work-life balance? Or, now you're taking a nice vacation, taking a break. Do you help each other take breaks like that? Or is it kind of frenetic because you're both in production?
Well, I think it's our main struggle as a couple. Because sometimes we help each other, of course, but sometimes we are both working a lot, especially her, because if I'm doing a TV commercial, maybe I have a few meetings, one scouting, 2 day shooting or wherever, but she spends 2 weeks on the production house, like from 10 a.m. to 8 at night or 9 or whatever. So yeah, we try to help each other and take care of each other. But yeah, sometimes we realize that we are really tired and really stressed. So yeah, it's good because we understand. That's the good part of it. if she calls home and says like, okay, we will do overtime, we will do like 4 hours overtime, or this day will, will take 24 hours instead of 18 because everything is going wrong. There's nothing I can say or do. It's like, give her a hug when she comes home. That's it.
Yep. No, that is handy, because if you have a spouse or a partner who doesn't know what you're going through, then they're like, well, come on, normal people would be home by now, or whatever it is. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's yeah.
They don't. Sometimes it happened to me with other relations or whatever, that they don't believe you, or even with my family. It's like, is your brother's birthday, why you're not here? And it's like, because I'm on a crane, and the shot that was going to take 15 minutes is taking 4 hours and a half, and I want to go home. I want to go to the birthday as much as you want me to be there, but I have to stay here.
Yeah. No, it's brutal. It's brutal. That's the brutal aspect. It all looks great on the screen, but it can be a tough life as well.
Completely.
Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah. Well, on that happy note, thank you so much, Pablo, for taking time out of your vacation to talk and to tell us about your life and your work. It's been a pleasure talking with you.
No, thank you, Luke. As I told you, thank you for having me, and thank you for answering all my questions. And what you do with your channel is very nice for all the people out there. So thank you very much.
Excellent. All right. And with that, thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next time.